Joining us now is Stephen Hanson, the founder and CEO of ACME Lithium. Great to see you again, Stephen.
Good to see you too, Mark.
Now, we spoke a few weeks ago at the Red Cloud Showcase, and at the time you said that you were getting very close to starting your phase 2 drilling at Clayton Valley, and you put out a news release recently about testing the discovery well and 3 new exploration holes as well. So what's the latest, Steve?
Well, it's been a busy time, Mark. We've had our running shoes on, and the key here for us was to finalize our permits at Clayton Valley. This is an expanded phase 2 program based on the initial discovery made in the summertime. It's a lithium brine project near Silver Peak. The expanded program includes a test well where we'll do a pump test and 3 new exploration holes. And so we're really excited to get started here. We've been busy on planning and procurement and permitting, and all those things are in place. Our rig contractor should be mobilizing here in the next week to 10 days, and we're hoping to actually have the drill turning before the holiday season. So exciting time. Again, this is our biggest program to date in Clayton Valley, and hoping to expand on the success we've had so far in 2022. So it's going to be a busy winter season, our largest program, and hopefully we'll have lots of news and success over the next few months.
All right, very good. That's exciting for you, and we'll be looking out for that news flow. Now, one of the things you said during your presentation at the Red Cloud Showcase was that you're looking to test with direct lithium extraction companies. Carrying that further, ultimately, if you're able to use DLE technology, what would that mean for ACME in terms of the environmental impact, in terms of costs as well?
Well, technology has been changing a number of industries, and in particular, we're seeing some advancements being made in direct lithium extraction around the world. There's a number of companies that are well-financed that have been working on it, from Alberta to Texas to San Diego to other regions of the world, where we're in discussions with many of them. And in fact, there's a DLE pilot plant being worked on and constructed to the east of us by Schlumberger and Panasonic. And again, we're in the same ancient lake bed that they are with that discovery. And we believe that our brine certainly should be tested by them and their facility. We are in discussion with a number of other DLE companies who are interested in testing our brine once we get pump testing here. So part of the vision here in this program is not only to have success with the drill bit and ultimately get to a resource, but is to supply brine to a handful of these DLE companies, either at the bench lab or at the pilot stage, and we'll work on that over the next few months. The benefit of DLE is you're a smaller footprint. Rather than putting brine into huge football field size brine ponds, evaporation ponds that take a couple years to extract lithium, the DLE technology is where you pump brine into a processing plant. The footprint's much smaller, and then you inject that salt water back into the aquifer. So environmentally, there's some benefits. Recovery time is much shorter. The capex tends to be smaller. And so very exciting new technology that I think is going to be changing the way lithium is extracted from brine in the future. And again, we're seeing developments in Chile, in Argentina, and then throughout the United States with regard to this new technology. And we absolutely believe it's the way we should go at Silver Peak and Clayton Valley.
Now, moving along to your Fish Lake project, you released some geophysical survey results recently. You plan to start drilling soon there as well. What's the update?
Well, we've had some good sampling on surface historically, and then certainly since ACME has held the project. We've done some geophysics this fall, and sure enough, there's some very good clay targets there. I'll be making a decision on drilling sometime here towards the end of the year or early first quarter. It really depends on our capital situation. We are in very good shape. We're well funded, but I am going to be drilling in Manitoba as well. So to be exploring in 3 separate areas in parallel, we're going to just determine whether that's going to stretch us or not. So I am actively seeking a joint venture partner for Fish Lake. That will take out some of the risk, and also the capital outlay will be reduced slightly if I'm under joint venture. So we're continuing to evaluate Fish Lake. We think it's highly prospective, has some great attributes to it, and hoping to make a discovery down the road.
Okay, you mentioned Manitoba. Let's head there now. You are near Sinamine's Tanko mine, which, as you've said before, has been producing for years. And you visited the site, and it was interesting in your presentation when you said that you saw hundreds of bags of ore lined up that you knew were eventually making their way to China. So, do you see that, seeing that just as a microcosm of this lithium supply crisis that you've been talking about?
Well, and I've called it a crisis because really there's companies and nations around the world that are scrambling to get a lithium supply. And really, it's evident from what's happening at the Tanko mine. The fact that lithium is being bagged and put on freight trains and flatbed trucks and being shipped to Vancouver, and then put on freighters and sent to China suggests the desperation that countries are in to find the commodity. The price has skyrocketed obviously over the last 24 months. Lithium as a commodity is up almost 20 times in the last 24 months. It broke new highs a week ago at $80,000. So it can become economic to be shipping ore like that across the country. I don't know the numbers, but obviously they see it as something that they want to do. We are their southern neighbor. We're contiguous to their mineral leases. We're about 1.5 kilometers to the south with our Shatford Lake and Birth Lake projects. We're one of the largest landholders south of the Tanko mine. The reason why we looked at this region is because there's existing lithium production. It's the only place where lithium is being produced in Canada right now. So we're well positioned. We've done an extensive summer program, and our permits have been in with the Manitoba government since early fall. We've signed an agreement with First Nation, Saugeen First Nation in that region. So, we're collaborating with them, and we're hoping to have the green light on our permits here before the end of the year. So we have priority 1, priority 2, and priority 3 drill targets ready to go, and really excited to get started with this maiden first winter drill program. So crossing our fingers on permits in Manitoba and hope to get the drill bit started here. So we'll have 2 parallel programs going on. Excited to deliver on behalf of our shareholders, and it's going to be a very busy early 2023 for ACME Lithium.
Right, and it's no coincidence that you are near, in Canada and the United States, the only producing lithium mines. Clearly, that was a plan on your part. Now, in terms of Shatford Lake, and once you get drilling eventually, what are your expectations for discoveries there? Are you quite hopeful?
Well, this is a hard rock project, and so lithium is found in pegmatites. There's known pegmatites through this region historically. There's massive pegmatite fields throughout this area, and the key here is that much of the area has been unexplored. Although there's the Tanko mine, which is the only place where lithium is produced, really the territory here has been underexplored, and that's all changing. There has been a bit of a land grab going on in recent time, and certainly since we've entered there, we're seeing more drilling activity. We're seeing international companies and strategics and institutional investors investing in the region. I do think southern Manitoba is going to be an area of discovery over the next few years, and ACME is hopeful that we're one of those companies that can make that discovery. So, every indication suggests we're in the right rock type. We've identified some new pegmatites that were unknown prior to our involvement. And so really the key here is, can we find spodumene in pegmatite that has decent grade lithium and also decent strike length? So, we'll do a first phase program and then hopefully move on to a second phase as well in 2023 and hopefully have some success.
Stephen, from a financial standpoint, at last report, you've got about 12 million in cash available, and you've said you may look to do a raise of some sort in the middle of next year. But as you know, there's a lot of interest in the lithium sector right now. So do you think demand from investors for capital raising is such that it's almost a secular trend and separate from any slowdown in the economy and separate from any slowdown or weakness we're seeing in the commodity sector in general?
Well, in talking to investment bankers and institutional investors, retail investors, and some of my peers, it certainly is a challenging marketplace right now from a mineral exploration standpoint. We've seen volatile markets. We have seen investors move to the sidelines, but I think battery metals and in particular lithium is unique. I think there continues to be interest because of this perpetual deficit we're facing. We're seeing a lot of M&A activity take place. There's just fewer and fewer quality projects that are out there. So I think there's going to be a continued interest in capital being deployed into this particular sector. We have lots of interest in investors that are interested in providing us capital. We are in good shape. At the end of June, when we announced our quarter, we had about $12 million. So at the end of June, that's our last reported financial statement. We're in the neighborhood of just under $10 million today, so we're still in good shape. I have enough capital to meet all of our requirements in Clayton Valley for our phase 2 program. I have all the capital I need for a phase 1 drill program here in Manitoba, and I have capital left over. So we have some time here to meet some milestones and hopefully some key catalysts. We'll see how the market goes over the next few months. And again, we're continuing to look for the right type of capital, strategic capital that can bring value as we grow our business. But we're in good shape for the short term and medium term. And we'll look for opportunities sometime in 2023 as we hopefully move the needle on catalysts and hopefully valuation as well.
Now, you've said that end users of lithium, they know near term where they're getting their product from, but looking out a few years down the road, they don't. They're sort of wondering where it's going to come from. So explain how ACME Lithium will help fill that void.
Well, supply chain for auto manufacturers and technology companies, when they're looking and doing their planning, it's quite a long time horizon. If you're putting out 250,000 new electric vehicles, and that's your forecast in 5 years from now, whatever number it may be, you've got a plan now as to where those components are going to come from. So, Ford, General Motors, the other auto manufacturers, and then technology companies, whether it be LG or Samsung's or others, they know where their supply is going to come from over the next couple of years, or even 3 or 4. The key here is where they're going to get supply down the road. And they're scrambling to find supply for the future if they want to meet what is absolutely growing demand in what is $100 billion plus industry. So this is what's exciting about the lithium sector is we don't know where we're going to get supply for lithium here in a few years' time. And so as companies like ACME grow, we hope to be part of that supply chain in meeting that demand. And already we're seeing industry assess projects that are in exploration development at an earlier stage to ensure that down the road they have that supply secured.
And just lastly, Stephen, if you could distill and sum up everything you've been saying and from an investment standpoint and an opportunity for investors in ACME Lithium.
Well, thanks, Mark. And I know we're an explorer and developer, and we're at fairly early stage in the cycle of how mining companies work. We do have, I believe, one of the best portfolios in North America. As you mentioned earlier, we are the southern neighbor of the Tanko mine in Manitoba. We're contiguous to that project, and we are the northwest neighbor to Albemarle's Silver Peak project. We are near the only production in the US and the only production in Canada. And then we have our Fish Lake Valley project, which is next to a world-class project run by an Australian company, and they have offtakes with Toyota, Ford, and Panasonic. So location is very important. Closology is important, I think, is one of our advantages. Rocks do stop and start. It doesn't mean necessarily that we're going to have world-class assets like they do, but that certainly is our goal. And we've got multiple opportunities for investors. And we think that gives, we're not a one-trick pony here. We've got multiple opportunities for success. And we're hopeful that one of these projects can be world-class one day.
Thanks, Stephen. We'll be watching. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Mark, for your time.
Okay, Stephen Hanson, founder and CEO of ACME Lithium.